Hey everybody, welcome to the Power Hour of Love. I'm Charboil and this is
El Bandito.
Oh, El Bandito. I gotta tell you, man, after last week and all that crazy news that we heard that was coming out of E3, man, like, I mean, I'm just so excited to get back in here in the studio and have some more fun tonight. How about you?
Oh, absolutely, senor, man. I cannot wait because tonight we've got something very special for all you beautiful people out there. We've got a great interview for an upcoming, well, an ongoing, it's currently going on right now, a Kickstarter for Into the Darkness. We know we've been telling you guys about this comic for the last few weeks, man. We checked it out, and I'll tell you guys, I sat around at New Comic Book Day, and I read a ton of the new comic books at my local comic shop, and there wasn't one of them that got me as jazzed in the first few pages as this Kickstarter did, man. So you guys have got to get over there and check it out, man. But we've got an interview with the penciler, with the writer, the creator, one of the creative team members here. Mark Zuptich is here, and we are so psyched to talk to him, man. We don't even want to hem and haw or stall too much. We want to get to talking with him about this awesome book that he's got going on here. Into the Darkness, man. Now, this is really cool. We're super excited. We've got some PoDunk news coming up a little bit later. We're going to tell you guys about an event that you guys can meet us at in a what is that, about 10 days or so?
Oh, yeah, man. It's right around the corner.
So stick around for that. We're talking about Cossography going up there in Cocoa Beach. That's our backyard, man, so we're pretty stoked about that. But without any further ado, what do you say we just jump right into our interview?
Oh, yeah. Let's dive right in.
All right, let's do it, man. Let's close up the big screen and let's head on over and let's talk to Mark. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. Mark, how you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, guys. Good evening. How are you? I'm pretty good.
Oh, man. We're
excited to be here. Can you tell?
Oh, absolutely, man. We're so stoked to have you here with us, Mark. And like we were saying, you know, if you guys haven't heard about Into the Darkness, where can all of our fans go to check you guys out?
You can find us online at itdcomic.com, and that's also all of our handles for social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's /itdcomic. And you can find the Kickstarter on our website, itdcomic.com right now. We're 6 days away, I think, from finishing up right now, and we're at 118%, so we're already overfunded and into stretch goals.
Yeah, we saw that you guys met your goal already, man. We're so psyched. We're so happy for you. And we're excited, too, because we're like, dude, we're getting in on this, and that just means, hey, we're getting cool stretch goals now. So.
Hey, nothing like free crap to motivate you, right?
Absolutely.
You know it, man. And, you know, like when we see a lot of these Kickstarter campaigns and stuff like that, when you hit that level, you know, it's just like people see that, you know, you got stuff going into the project, man, and you guys have some awesome artwork out there on the Kickstarter where if the fans go and check it out, they could actually read a couple pages from the book, correct?
Yeah, we have the first 7 pages on the Kickstarter page, free of charge to look at. We really want you to see the quality, and we're confident that once you read those 7 pages, you're going to want more. So we have no problem sticking those up there to let everybody see what we're going for. And mainly that's trying to get away from the stigma that a lot of indie comics get, that, you know, half-assed vanity project is, I think, what a lot of people think.
Yeah, no
And,
doubt. That's definitely something that kind of comes around with indie. Is a lot of people think like, oh, I know how to do it better, and then they just throw it out there or whatever. But you guys are really like just killing it. Like the stuff you guys are doing, like you said, one of my favorite things is you guys have set up a bunch of rules on your FAQ, and you guys have this awesome website, and we're gonna get to all that in a minute. But definitely, I just want to mention the other members of your team here. Now, I know I probably butchered your last name. I should have asked you that earlier. But so how do you actually say it, Mark?
It's pronounced Zuptich. It's exactly like it looks. There's no trick European pronunciation in there, which is what throws everybody off.
Okay, I was close then. That's not bad.
But I point out that you don't go to Kirk on Sundays, so it's not Zuptich.
That's awesome.
Well, we definitely know Sean Barber's been joining us here the last few weeks in the show, in the comments and stuff like that. He's been so vocal in our show, man, that we're excited to kind of give some love back and advertise the product and talk about him. Now, he does all the inks on the book, right?
Correct. Sean is my inker, my social media guru, and he's also my creative director. So he runs the editing on the colors and the artwork as well.
Now, see, we could tell he's a social media guy, man, because he's all over the place. We see him everywhere.
He's way better than me at it. I am a social media moron.
Well, if you see me looking down at my screen here, I monitor the comments and try to spread the show as much as possible. So I'm definitely not trying to be rude, Mark. But definitely I see Sean has joined us in the comments. So he's definitely going to be throwing down some stuff in there too. So welcome, Sean. Definitely everybody in the comments, throw some love for Sean.
Absolutely. I love his little joker he put in the comments already. That's pretty sharp. But we don't want to leave out Chris Hall, who you guys have listed as your colorist, but he also has this Riddler-esque question mark photograph on your page. And I have to say, when I first went to the page and I looked at it, the color absolutely jumped out at me. I mean, even this piece right here, I love this intense color like that. And you guys have, I think it's the 6th page, is very orange and red, kind of a dawn cityscape. And it just blew me away, man. This color is amazing. So since he's not photographed and, geologically I could tell you're nearby, is he an alien from Area 51 or what's the story there?
No, actually, I believe Chris is up in Michigan. He's our freelance colorist. And he supplied me with some background information about himself, but he didn't give me a photograph. So this is what he ended up with. We honestly have no idea what he looks like. Just like the page says.
Well, pretty exciting.
The difference is the actual colored pages are Chris. What you're looking at behind you, that's the cover art. Those are hand painted by me.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Well, it looks like Chris has also joined us in the comments, man. So welcome, awesome. Chris. We got the team all here, man. So now that's so exciting, man. And yeah, you guys are doing an awesome job. We can't wait to see the finished product.
And
thank you.
Again, you mentioned you did this artwork here. Now, you guys, do all of you have experience in digital media and graphic design? Because I have to say, there's a lot about the book that, not that it's a bad thing, but looks digital, But it looks like you're really using those tools to their full potential to really give it like, a unique feel.
Well, we wanted to give that feel of, we want to use the tools available to us. Photoshop makes things easier in life. Mm-hmm. Same with Illustrator and other tools that we have. But we didn't want that overly digital, lens flares every 5 pages and, the cut gradated coloring where it's like this smooth blended. We didn't want that buttery look. If you look real close at Chris's colors, there's a real kind of hand-washed element to them as well.
Yes, yeah. So it's like you guys got the best of both worlds going on in your work there. But the web page that you guys have with the rain that follows your mouse and it gets more intense towards that is hands down one of the coolest web pages I have seen anywhere for anything, man. Now, who did that? Did you do that, Mark?
I'm a web developer, but I can't take credit for the script with the rain. That was from somebody else online. We have a very hard code in web development, especially on the front end. Don't reinvent the wheel if somebody's already done it for you.
Oh, absolutely, man. El Bandito and I have done a little bit of web developing too, and we definitely live by that same mantra.
Yeah, definitely.
But absolutely, man. Yeah, like El Bandito said, awesome web page. Why don't you go ahead and tell them that web address again, Mark, just so that they can go. Well, I mean, want them to stay here and watch the show, but of course, so they can bookmark it and check it out later.
Yeah, it's itdcomic.com. ITD as in Into the Darkness, or as I've been saying lately, Immortal Taco Dog. because that's more fun.
It certainly gets you to remember, so that's good. But now you guys sent us kind of an advanced copy of the script, which we thought was awesome. I know Senior Bowl read the whole thing. I got about a quarter of the way through it. I'm like, dude, I'm like really into this. Like I said, the first 7 pages just hooked me into the story, and I'm that kind of guy that's like, I don't read anything online about the Avengers movies or nothing. Like, I want to see it when it comes out. So I'm holding off to see it when it comes out. But even I had to read a page or two of the scripted portion that you guys sent us, which is like page 8 and 9, and the story, the story dialogue is just as gripping in those few pages. It's not like you put all the good stuff in the first 7 and then no, like I can see that this is going to keep just really, really sticking awesome. But we didn't want to spoil too much of the story, so we thought we'd let you kind of tease the audience with what the story's going to be about.
Well, if you look on the Kickstarter and you read those first 7 pages, the bulk of that is it takes place 21 years ago, and it's essentially the backstory of our main character.
Mm-hmm.
It is her backstory and where she came from. Then the timeline jets forward 21 years to the present day. And I'm going to say the story is basically about a young woman with some tragedy in her past who meets a guy that's either gifted or cursed, depending on how you look at it, with visions of the past, the present, and the future. And there's the rub. He sees all 3 and doesn't really know the difference when he sees them.
Right. And that's always the best kind of take on prophecy, is that you get a little bit of everything and have to kind of map it out and piece it together. So that sounds really cool. But a lot of people we've talked to and have shown the artwork to, and they just kind of glance at it, their first takeaway is that it's going to be a horror book.
It is not.
Right.
Definitely not.
It's definitely it's almost multi-genre, though. So how would you describe it genre-wise?
Action, horror, martial arts, character drama.
So just a little bit of this and that.
Well, definitely, like I said, we're definitely not going to drop any spoilers, but reading through the comic and kind of getting a sneak peek, I definitely could see where you guys have put some really awesome thought into the action sequences and the actual conversations and stuff between certain characters. So yeah, like El Bandito said, well, first, just to look at the artwork, you guys might think, oh, immediately, horror related. Like, I mean, it's a great mashup, I think, of superhero, horror, and action. So I'm super psyched.
Yeah, to speak of just...
I would say the horror elements come from our villain, and I don't think it's a spoiler because we've pretty much said this in the character bios on Kickstarter, that think of our villain as a super villain whose power is to be a necromancer.
Oh, okay.
And definitely. We take a different take on zombies. We don't like to use the zombie word. We don't use the Z word. It's like Sean here. No, don't use the Z word. It's just silly. But we don't. The way it runs is that if a body is older when it's resurrected, then it's a shambling zombie like you typically see in horror films or the horror genre.
Okay.
If it's fresher, then it turns into a running zombie. And if it's an immediate, like it just got killed, it can pass for human. It can walk and talk just like you and me.
Nice.
Pretty awesome.
Like a zombie infiltration.
Yeah, absolutely. They're like the different levels of Terminators.
Exactly.
Now, I love, too, the fact that in just those first few pages, I know I can speak on those without spoiling anything, but they're kind of really leaning into a prophecy sort of thing where, let's say the infant is out there, and it's kind of like she has a destiny or is intertwined with some larger destiny that she doesn't know anything about.
Yeah, and that's part of what we want to explore with that is there's a prophecy and there is a fate involved here, a destiny, if you will, but we want to explore that line of how much is fated and how much is free will. Do you follow what you're destined to do simply because someone told you that's your destiny and you believed it? Or can you say, screw this, I don't want that, and do your own thing?
Yeah,
and
that's
how
awesome.
much do you make a self-fulfilling prophecy just by believing in it?
Yeah, I think that's such a staple that everyone can relate to, because I think we all think about that in our own lives, like, oh, do I have some higher calling or some higher purpose, or can I be whatever I want to be? And I think a lot of people, they get hung up thinking like, oh, I'm not good at drawing, or I'm not good at doing this, or I don't drive very well, so I can never be a trucker, without realizing that, like, if you believe in yourself and you work at something, you can do it. You know, like everything in life's a skill, and maybe you didn't start off with the best skill of something, but like any role-playing game, you just keep advancing your skill, and eventually you can do pretty much anything you really put your mind to. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I love that you guys are involving that concept with what you guys have going on. And I also love, like I said, your FAQ threw out so many interesting tidbits of the way you're approaching a comic in general that I definitely wanted to get those out for our audience to get in their ear and realize that this is going to be something special, right? And I want to start off with talking about how you guys don't do issues. Now, you want to explain why you don't do issues?
The way we're approaching writing this is more as if it was say a high-end cable TV series, I guess. We're
Nice.
looking at it, there's a story arc, and every story arc has a set number of issues, or episodes as we call them. Standard issue to anybody else reading a comic if you don't like the episode word. And we have each story arc, when it wraps up, the next story arc time roughly advances about a year. So the characters are going to age in about real time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
Very cool.
we can watch their development, and they can grow in real time. Where we had to wait 40 years for Peter Parker to get out of high school.
Hey, Cyclops turned 30. Wait, he's been around how long now?
I know his first issue. He's like groovy, baby.
Oh, well, I definitely see in here Chris Hall saying that his higher calling is tacos, and Sean Barbara saying that we all have issues of our own. So definitely,
We don't need any more issues, right? But I love
can't argue this.
I love the concept of episodes. I think that's something that, honestly, I've talked to a lot about. My local brick and mortar comic store is Big Dog Comics up here in Fort Pierce, man. I talked to the owner there, Captain Joel, and we talk about that all the time, that it's so difficult to get into reading comics nowadays because they have these legacies and these 1,000-issue continuities, and it's just difficult to know where to jump into a story. But I think framing it in something of a season and episode basis is something that the more general audience will know and understand immediately and be able to say, oh, this looks like the middle of the story. How far do I have to go back to start at the beginning? So I think that's a great idea, and I'll go ahead and say it. I think in the next decade or so, that's totally going to change industry-wide through comics. So I think you guys are way ahead of the game on that one, and that's awesome.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
well, another thing we found really interesting, not issues, is like we mentioned a little earlier, like the rules of this universe. So you want to break a couple of those down real quick?
Oh, yeah. Well, some of our rules are, for one, and this is my current favorite just because of the landscape of comics today and mainstream comics.
Mm-hmm.
Mainstream comics are so obsessed with not ticking off any of their fan base that they don't take chances. And that's why one of the first rules we came up with is dead is dead.
Yeah.
If we're going to write a character off and we're going to kill them, if you've seen a body, they're gone. They're not coming back.
Wow. There
Yeah,
you go.
that's awesome. And like to a comic book reader, yeah, that means something, because every, we got 74 Jean Greys later. Like half the Batman characters all died and came back as villains, and then they're heroes again and all this stuff. So I love that concept because even in like television right now, they have the really big issue of killing characters off and then bringing them back and then killing them off and bringing them back. And it seems like a lot of that has to do with actor stuff more than anything else. But it's great to see that as a writing team, you guys are just like, no, dude, we're going to commit to something and we're going to tell a story that grows, and I think that goes hand in hand with you doing the issues and letting the characters age naturally, that's going to be something that just keeps that world defined really excellently, man. So I think that's a great rule. But I got to ask, because like I said, in about 12 days, we're going to a cosplay convention of all people who love dressing up like their famous superheroes. So when I read your rule number 1, I was a little bit like, whoa, wait a minute. And it said no costumes. And I love the way you framed it, though. You said, dude, if I got superpowers tomorrow, I wouldn't run out and start sewing me some spandex. So, but tell us a little bit about no costumes. What kind of prompted that, and why are you so adamant about it?
That actually came from the basis of Into the Darkness years back. I started writing this when I was in high school.
Wow, nice.
Wow.
And, well, I'm going to be the first to admit that it was a blatant ripoff of every team superhero comic out there at the time.
Okay.
Everything from X-Men to Wildcats, you name it, in the 90s.
Okay.
And, So after a while, I put it away because I realized it was, not good. It was just a stupid kid mimicking what he liked.
Sure.
And so 5 years later or so in college, I picked it back up again. I looked and I thought, the stuff I put in here to differentiate it from those other properties, if I strip those out and get rid of everything else, I've got a good basis for something really unique and different and new here.
Right on,
And
yeah.
one of the things I threw out was I thought about it, started thinking about it realistically, which you'll see in one of our other rules as well, is if it were real life and I got superpowers, what would I do? And the answer wasn't go put on a superhero costume.
Right.
The question was even, would you become a hero? Mm-hmm. Would you keep it to yourself? Would you try to help people when you can? Would you try to do it when you can do it and not expose yourself? How would you handle that? And I just realized the costumes weren't going to be a part of this world because it wasn't the thought or the feel that I was going for. I want these characters to be defined by their personalities and who they are, not by a colorful costume. And that leads us into the artwork as well, which makes my life as the pencilist harder. I have to make sure that everybody's faces are distinct.
Yeah. I was going to ask, will they have different clothes and different issues then? Or are they going to have a base look? Because you could argue that someone like Gambit or Hellboy, they don't really have a costume. They're just kind of wearing regular clothes, but they always wear the same thing. So are you guys going to change that up or kind of give people an iconic look?
Yes and no. We have some characters, like one of our characters, Bloodshed, is always dressed in black. That's his thing.
Okay.
And so he's like, I'm a badass, I wear black, that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
But other characters, no, they're going to change clothes every issue. It's kind of like when I watch a cartoon and you see somebody out of costume and they're always wearing the exact same outfit.
Yeah. You see your Homer Simpson wearing something.
Well, I mean, even if you go to the superhero cartoons, look at the old X-Men cartoon, right? They always wore the exact same thing every time they weren't in costume.
Yeah, they're sitting on the sofa just in their costume. You guys eat breakfast like that together? It's weird.
I see Sean down here said that spandex gives him wedgies, so that would be one. And then Chris commented that first thing that he would think of would be to make some money, with those superpowers. So definitely, I'm digging the concepts here. It's it's really cool, and like you said, it's going against that grain because while there's been other comics that have kind of ventured into superhero or real life superheroes, they still kind of had that thing of putting on a costume. This is kind of cool that they're gonna have powers, but it's less okay, well, I gotta go dress up to save the world. Let's see where this goes. But like you said, still having a distinct look where Bloodshed, like you said, is a badass. So that's very cool.
Yeah, I think what's going to be great is the cosplay groups. If a cosplay group could get together, they can get enough of the characteristics from each character, or maybe a weapon or a totem or something that they have, and then before you know it, they're really identifiable, but also unique. Where a lot of times now, you could go to a cosplay convention and there's 15 Supermans and they all look exactly the same. Even though there's been a dozen Superman costumes, nobody wants to wear the black one with the silver S. No, they want to wear the red, white, and yellow. But so that's cool though. That's again just bridging a new gap, right? Now I think the rule number 2. That's the one I contend with the most. It's the anti-leaf field rule, right? Of only having realistic proportions, which I think, as someone who is a voice on the internet, that everyone should be respected, and no body shaming or anything like that. But I want to see chicks with big boobies. I like my
Well, yeah, I don't do gratuitous nudity or swimsuits or those kinds of costumes. So you're out of luck there.
No, I think the sexiest thing about women are when they're smart and they kick ass and they're cool, man. So as much as I want to joke, I think that's a great rule in the sense that everyone has seen the best artists in the field put out something that you're like, dude, really? Who commissioned you to do that, man? And how much were you oh God, while you were doing it? So I commend it, man. That's a good rule to have, something that shows a lot of respect, not only to your audience, but to the general public, and saying that, not everyone who contributes to being a hero is going to be some Olympian-looking person, so or a stripper.
Right, right. We have that character. Bloodshed is a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's like Batman-sized.
Oh,
he's
cool.
a scary guy. But then you've got other characters like Brian's, normal-looking dude. Guy in a t-shirt and jeans. He doesn't look like he's going to get up and, knock him from one side of the room to the other.
And that's the exciting things about powers and abilities, too, is oftentimes in comics when you have a character more like Spider-Man, who's a little thin little kid, and he's in his plain clothes, and he does something amazing, that's really amazing because he just looked like a regular guy. And I think, again, this is really going to lend well to the abilities that your characters kind of conceal or, are not flashy about. They're not trying to show off.
Yeah, it's they're just kind of low key. It's keeping with that realism, we don't want to draw guys with biceps the size of my torso. And, I think I put it in the rules that we don't want women with boobs cinched up under their necks like twin goiters and ankles that'll break if they try to run. It's just, that's not my thing. I've had people even criticize me for that, saying stuff like, well, you need to really exaggerate because it's a comic book. Exaggerate the motions. People need to have exaggerated proportions. I don't think they do.
Yeah, I think it
can work.
No, definitely. I think there's definitely something to be said for like the iconic kind of posing that superheroes do, because I've been called out a lot for kind of knocking the Wonder Woman film for that I was like, it went so far into the realm of we don't want to show her as a sex symbol that she really didn't do like a lot of superhero posing. And I thought they could have really brought that in a little more without sexualizing it or anything like that. I mean, she's an actual person with actual proportions. Whatever you can get her to do is going to be realistic.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of people kind of hammer on me for that. And I'm like, no, there's still iconic posing. That sort of, hey, I'm about to kick some butt kind of thing. And as long as you're sticking with that, you don't need to double down with the other crazy stuff. No, just I think you guys are on the right track there. So.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, like, your heart stops a little bit in the first Iron Man movie when he hits the ground with the fist up, and
Yes.
It's like, oh, that's like the classic comic book pose there.
Yep. And you just watched it, first person, boom, right in there. Yeah, man, that sort of thing really is cool, and I love the fact that you're sticking with that, but also saying like, nah, dude, we don't have to overdo it in this realm of kind of silliness almost. That, hey, let's get every teenage kid in the world to buy this comic.
So
I want to keep it grounded. I want to keep it real. Sometimes I like to throw out just like Imagine Heroes if it didn't suck.
That's awesome.
Damn that writer's strike. That first season was kind of cool, and then it just fell apart at the end. I have no idea what happened. You mentioned the time travel thing, so look, I'm totally going to hit that tangent because you brought it up, right? Dude, how do you have a guy who's like Japanese and doesn't speak English at the beginning of the show, so he comes back in time and gives you a cryptic message because he doesn't speak English, but he learns English by the end of the show? Like, you can't do that,
Well,
so many fumbled storylines.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So, like we were saying, we've talked a lot about the rules. We've talked a lot about the characters. Now, with the Kickstarter campaign, like, is this your guys' first, shot at a Kickstarter? Because you guys are killing it. Like, I mean, you're doing a great job. So, have you had experiences with other projects with Kickstarter?
No, this is our first comic project. I can't speak for any projects Chris has been involved in,
Okay.
but Sean and I, this is our first Kickstarter. So
Wow, man.
we're just kind of making it up as we go along, and it's working pretty well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think your guys' presence both in your website, on your Kickstarter, and out here in social media and communicating with guys like us, man, that's the way to do it. You're putting your heart out there for something that you like. It's not just a cash grab. You guys aren't just trying to make money or anything. You're saying, hey, we're passionate about this. We're even going to give you some of it for free. And I think people see that. They see your confidence and your skill, and they're more than happy to be like, yeah, dude, I'll take it. Yes, please.
Yeah, that's the goal. We're not in this to be rich. We're in this to put out something we feel passionate about and have for a long time.
Well,
And if we make a little bit on it, great. But most of what we make is going to go into publishing the next issue. I'm just going to be blunt about that. We're going to pay our expenses, pay our dues, and then we put everything that comes off of that right into the next one we're building. So, I mean, I'll be thrilled. I don't want to drive a Lamborghini. I think I'll be thrilled if eventually ITD pays for me to get LASIK so I don't have to wear these contacts. But that's about as far as I think I'm going to push it.
Well, one thing when I was reading through the Kickstarter, what I really liked about you guys is you guys kept it real fun. I mean, not to say that, other Kickstarters, like, sticking to the seriousness. Oh, you're getting, but you guys, even your video that you guys included was just really fun. And I was laughing and reading through some of the, I know we're going to get to the stretch goals in a few minutes, but, just reading through all the stuff, you guys seem like you're having a real good time putting this together.
Yeah, it's the inspiration for those videos. We put out a video like that when we first launched the project and announced it on Facebook last year. And the catchphrase at the end of the video now is me stomping off saying, "I hate you guys," as all this random stuff happens during the video. And the basis for that was I was inspired by the old Daffy Duck cartoon, Duck Amuck.
Yes.
The one where the animator just keeps screwing with him through the entire cartoon.
Yes,
that's awesome.
I wanted to do that to me in real life.
Well, it totally played, and going on what I was saying, it doesn't hurt to get people involved when they're like, "Damn, these guys seem pretty cool." Because when we got an email from Sean, and we went and looked at the page, and he's there in his skull paint, and the description's just like, he also does badass skull painting. I was like, yeah, okay, for like no reason. Sure, this guy's cool, man.
Absolutely, man. And I see Sean's down here saying he says he would like to be able to afford a dune buggy one of these days.
Oh, he can come out here to Florida and ride on the Cape with us, man.
There you go. And
I
Chris,
want to ride on your dune buggy, man.
And Chris says that there's no other successful Kickstarters for him. So yeah, it sounds like you guys, as a awesome trio, the triple threat, are diving in there, man. And you guys are just, you're doing great. So as we mentioned earlier, the Kickstarter is already funded, but now it's stretch goal time, which, just to explain to everybody, once a project's funded on Kickstarter, now it comes in all these kind of fun little boons. If they can hit a certain price or a certain goal, past that, then they provide some other cool stuff. You want to tell us some more about those?
Yeah, as you just said, the basis of a stretch goal is, to encourage people that have pitched in on your book to either up their ante or share it with their friends so they can get more cool stuff. And so what we've started doing is our first stretch goal we called the Oprah extension, or the Oprah upgrade, because we were giving away a free comic book collection from Connor Bartel, Grimwood Crossing. And
awesome.
it was, everybody gets a comic, you get a comic, and you get a comic, and you get a comic.
I love it, man. No, that's so fun.
We've passed that one. Everybody who funds this project will get a free digital download of Grimwood Crossings Part 1 and 2. That's 150 pages of really awesome comic. It's good. I'm not lying. It is really good, involving monster hunters in the Old West. You can't beat that concept.
We love that. We love the Old West.
Heck yeah, that's outstanding.
So yeah, that's a fun one.
So what's that goal set at? What do we have to reach for that one to come?
That was the 2,500.
Oh, okay. So that's
nice.
Awesome. Okay,
yeah.
So what's the next one that we're heading towards?
Okay, the next one is at 2,750. If we can raise that, we're throwing in not only the Grimwood Crossing, we're throwing in a holiday postcard set, which involves some really fun dead characters of beloved cultural icons for holidays.
Oh, that's
Nice.
Awesome, man.
We have a dead Easter Bunny. We have a dead Uncle Sam. We have, an undead Santa Claus. I'm working on the turkey and the jack-o'-lantern right now.
Very cool.
Awesome. That'd be so fun. So, what do we? I mean, what in a ballpark is the Kickstarter at now? We know it's over the 2,500. Is it nearing that 27? Do we still got how much do we have to boost up for us to hit that Easter Bunny goal?
I think we're at maybe 2,550 right now. I have not looked at it much today because I had a very busy day.
Yeah, last time I looked at it, I'm pretty sure it was right close to 2,600. So.
Ooh, man. Well, you guys, man, we got a nice full house over here in the comments, man. Like we said, we definitely want you guys to keep hanging out with us as we continue our interview. But man, be sure to go ahead and go bookmark that webpage, man. Why don't you give it to them one more time, Mark? Sorry.
It's itdcomic.com. And again, that's ITD as in Into the Darkness, or Immortal Taco Dog, or Innovative Teddy Dumper. I don't know. I'm making things up.
And the deadline for the Kickstarter is June 24th?
The deadline for the it ends this Sunday, June 24th at 9 p.m. I think it's Pacific time.
Okay, so you guys got just the rest of the week now to get out there and go ahead and make your pledge to this book. It's already funded, man. You guys are getting the book. If you join now, you're just getting all these extra boons, and you're making it more and more cool stuff that everyone's going to get as you pledge, guys. So get out there, check it out, man. Head over to Kickstarter and just search Into the Darkness in comics, and it comes right up, man. Like I said, your guys' Kickstarter is really cool and really funny. If nothing else, go over there and read it because it's super cool. There's a great picture of Mark rocking the mustachio there, which I love. So
I speak for the trees.
That's awesome.
You could see Sean's awesome skull face paint and the mysterious Chris Hall.
So we got a couple fun questions to ask if you got a little more time to hang out with us.
Absolutely, fire away, boys.
Awesome. So, we got to know, who's your favorite comic book hero?
My favorite comic book hero of all time. I'm a Batman fan. I don't make any bones about it.
Oh, that's a hard one to beat.
Oh, definitely.
Well, Batman always appealed to me for some of the same reasons. Yeah, Batman's outlandish the way they do it a lot of the times in the comics, but it was the concept when I was younger that, he's a real person without superpowers, and that was the draw. So I've always liked characters like Batman or the Punisher that are, real and grounded. I don't have any problem with superheroes. I like a lot of them, but I've just always gravitated towards the more realistic.
I'll tell you on that note, that's one thing I always really loved about Daredevil. Was because for all the powers that he has, they kind of seem to just make up for the fact that he's blind. So I always look at it that I'm like, this dude doesn't really have anything more going for him than like a regular person, but he still goes out there and kicks ass. And I kind of love the way they wrap it around the moniker, the man without fear, how if he lives in a world of darkness, what more has he got to fear, So it's kind of interesting. I've always been compelled by that same concept you're talking about of a person with no powers who sees people with powers and says, you know what, I'm going to try to do that too. Because I think, again, that's the one thing that we're kind of missing in society is that the average person thinks that they can't do a part. But you can. Everyone can be a little bit of a hero. And, I mean, imagine the difference that makes.
Yeah, doing something heroic is all about timing, right? You just have to do the right thing at the right time.
No doubt. I mean, being here in Florida, we see that all the time. We're coming up on hurricane season soon, man. And, when people are in need, boom, just everyone does a little bit something for their neighbor, and it all comes together and makes a huge effort, man. So really cool stuff. I think that's a great choice on the Batman. But I got to ask, who's your favorite Batman actor then? Because, boy, we've had a couple that are like, whoo.
I'm just going to say Kevin Conroy and leave it there.
Oh, nice.
There you go. That's nice. The perfect answer.
That killed it right there.
We've got...
I read a Batman comic. That's the voice I hear in my head as I read it. I hear Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill.
That's
no
so
doubt,
awesome.
Man. That's great. And, dude, the original Mr. Freeze on the shows, I know they changed him in, like, Sub-Zero and stuff later, but the original Mr. Freeze was so boss, man.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, I love that they originated that version of Mr. Freeze on the cartoon. Just took a rather lame B-list villain and turned him into something really incredible and tragic.
Oh,
no
absolutely.
doubt. They did that with so many of the original Batman's rogues, like, didn't have any origins. Like, Two-Face's origin was kind of there, but it wasn't really the same, not with the way they pulled it off in the series. But definitely that Riddler backstory was another one that was like, damn, they took the Riddler in a whole different direction, from being like kind of a ripoff of the Joker to being that super intelligent, really kind of charismatic dude, even though he's like a nerd in his day job. That's really cool.
I think they did a great job with that, and I loved that carried forward into the comics a lot from many of those characters.
Yes, yeah, it certainly did. Hey, Harley Quinn, right? Jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have to say, not to run you over again there, Charlie, I'm sorry, but the in the story that you guys have in Into the Darkness, I love how the characters also have a great kind of presence, that I mentioned earlier tonight. The dialogue in there is so succinct, like it's so tight that I remember even reading a part of it, and I won't spoil it, but I read a part of it there and I said, you know what? Let me read that again, because the character inferred more information than I did it at just a quick read through. And I went back and read it again, and I was like, dude, the exact words that guy chose to describe something that he knew gave so many clues to the other character that they picked up on it right away. I was just like, dude, that was cool. So really cool writing on there. And I think that's a real throwback to how succinct those Batman shows were. I mean, in 22 minutes, they told these great stories. And I think you're on pace to do the same thing. So
thanks. My inspiration when I write is a combination of, stuff like Batman, where you said, like, it's succinct and it delivers as much information as it can with as little effort as they can, just to get it across to you. And I'm also a big fan of witty banter, and you'll notice that in my writing a lot. And I take inspiration there from everything from Joss Whedon to, I have to admit, White Christmas is actually a huge inspiration for me. The back and forth between Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye, beautifully written. And
No
I love
doubt.
that quick, snappy dialogue. I just love it.
Well, I wanted to squeeze in there real quick that Sean Barbara in the comments has said that his favorite hero is Evil Ernie or Lobo or Ghost Rider. So
Ooh.
I think we could see where like the more horror-centric side of the house comes from, which is awesome. I'm a huge Evil Ernie fan. I've met Brian, from Chaos Comics quite a few times. He usually shows up at some of the Florida conventions. Super nice guy. And yeah, man, just a classic character. Eventually, someday he's going to make it to the big screen.
No doubt.
Sean's gonna hate me. I've kept this secret from him for damn near 20 years now, but I've never read Evil Ernie.
He's definitely an acquired taste, I'd say. Like, I think one of the first reasons I got into checking him out was that he was always trying to create Megadeth. And I was a fan of the band Megadeth when I was in like high school. Yes, yeah. And Brian from Chaos Comics, he said that's where during a Megadeth concert is where he came up with the concept for Evil Ernie. So it all kind of ties together, so it's pretty cool.
Good stuff, man.
I don't think you've read a Evil
No, I don't
Ernie
read
comic.
an Evil Ernie either. I don't want to say anything bad, but it's in that Neil Gaiman category of a little too weird for me.
Oh, see, I love Neil Gaiman. He's one of my favorite writers of all time.
Oh, it's good stuff, but some of those Sandman books, I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm tripping on acid reading this book, man. I gotta put this
They
down.
get weird.
Now, we've talked about heroes. It goes hand in hand. Who's your favorite villain?
My heart belongs with the Joker always and forever just because I'm a Batman fan. But if I'm going to take other villains outside of that continuity, I like tragic villains. I like the fallen heroes. I like characters like Sinestro. I like characters like Magneto, where they think they're doing the right thing. Nobody in their own story thinks they're the villain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's a great point to make, and I'm sure that's going to be something that is a lesson kind of you're using to build your character, because definitely, especially with Magneto, I mean, a lot of people dog X-Men 3 for not being a great movie. It wasn't. But getting to see him trying to rile up an army while Xavier's trying to rile up his guys, and you got, like Sir Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, and both these guys could pretty much tell you to do anything, and you're like, yeah, I'll tell you to do it. But that's what makes it great, is they're strong, powerful characters who both have conviction about their beliefs and think that they're right. Like you said, there's really no definitive right or wrong there. It's just kind of different ways of approaching a situation. And I think anytime you can draw that into a character or a story arc, like, man, you're top notch. So how does that play into the villains you have in your work?
Our villains are the majority are they think they're doing the right thing. They're doing the wrong thing for the right reasons.
Okay, so they're
And,
definitely of the, hey, this is going to pay off for everyone later, but it's going to look messy now kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think, how can you think you're doing the right thing when you're raising the dead and murdering people? But, when you think you're trying to achieve a greater goal, a lot of people don't think about how many eggs they break to make that omelet, so to speak. They just look at the result. The ends justify the means. And that's a very prominent theme in our society always.
Yeah.
That do the ends justify the means? The answer is usually no. But a lot of people don't want to hear that because they want the result.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we try to keep the villains at least relatable after we get into delving into their psyche later on, seeing what they're made of, what kind of people they are, whether they're honorable or not, what their thought process is. And then later on, when we introduce a villain who is the, pure chaos and evil, it's a stark contrast to that.
Well, definitely. I see Sean down in here. He's throwing down. He's also a big fan of the Joker. That's his.
Yeah, he posted a little Joker graphic the minute he got in the room tonight, so I believe it.
Now, Chris is saying that he's a big fan of Venom and Morbius, the vampire. So
is Chris excited about the Venom movie coming out in the fall? Put that in the comments, Chris, if you're excited about that. We did an episode a few weeks back where we were like just terrified at what this movie could be because we didn't understand the trailer.
So we'll just have to wait and see how that one comes out. But definitely, yeah, go ahead, guys. Throw down in there and let us know. But, yeah, it's always fun. Like, who would you say is your favorite villain, El Bandito?
Oh, God. I probably have to go with Magneto because I believe in what he's doing most of the time. And I'm just like, yep, let's do that.
Absolutely.
And then it's terrible because then an X-Men shows up and he's like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm instantly like, I don't know. That guy just told me to do this. So I would definitely be I'd be the wrong guy to get involved in a war because I'm that dude that just follows orders, you know?
Absolutely. I'd have to say my favorite villain is probably Evil Ernie.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to kill everybody. Yeah, no, I know he's kind of like an anti-hero. It's all about love. He was trying to, go court death and stuff. But yeah, definitely Evil Ernie is a scary cat. So
yeah, definitely some kind of crazy stuff going on there. But hey, to each their own, right?
So as far as the latest. Release. Are you a fan of the current movies that are out? Like, you guys go and check out all the films that pop up, comic book fans?
I see just about every one of them.
So what's been your favorite so far?
My favorite comic book movie so far?
Yes.
That's tough.
Suicide Squad, right? Gotta be Suicide Squad.
I actually enjoyed Suicide Squad, believe it or not. I took it as a fun action film. I didn't read too much into it, and I wasn't disappointed.
I definitely, got some. I got actually more joy out of it watching it the second time. Like when I left the theater, I did feel a little cheated, but when I sat down with the kids and my wife and checked out the movie, like watching it with them seemed. I mean, some of the parts I had the kids go, a little more gruesome, but they like seeing Harley and the Joker, and actually I thought Killer Croc was really cool. So yeah.
I thought that I went into it kind of with the mindset of I'm not expecting this to be any better than an old 80s action film like Tango and Cash or something.
Dude, come on. Tango and Cash is awesome.
Look at it like that.
But no, I hear you. A lot of people tell me that all the time. They're like, dude, you got to take your expectation of what you read in the comics or what you've seen in cartoons and then just enjoy a movie for a movie that is what it is. But I can't help, I just feel like Star Wars has kind of put this cinch on me where I have an expectation and damn it, just meet it. Stop making weird movies that don't have anything to do with the original three.
See, I'm good at divorcing my expectations. When I see a movie, I have an expectation, but the second I plant my ass in that seat, it's gone. I will judge that movie for what it is as a film. And I understand that, it's two different forms of media. I can't expect a comic book and a movie to be exactly the same.
Well,
so I enjoy a lot of movies.
Yeah, what's funny is, that was a huge thing when we started doing this show, that we wanted to call ourselves the Power Hour of Love, and we didn't want to come on here and bash stuff that we didn't like. So it's like, yeah, every once in a while you're going to run across some stuff that you're like, oh, man, I can't believe they did that. But again, we just want to talk about good stuff and have positivity and say, hey, this is what was good about this movie. This is what we did like about this. Yeah, maybe we didn't get what they were driving at here, but this is really great over here. But it's easy when something's just good to get on here and talk about it being good, which is why when we saw your guys' Kickstarter page and we read the beginning of your book, we were like, yeah, absolutely. Let's get an interview with this, guys. This is something that we saw and we're like, this is good. It's going to be good. We got to let other people know about it. Because, yeah, we thought the same thing. We looked at the page and said, oh, it must be like some zombie horror flick thing. And even in the first 7 pages, that idea is completely dismissed. We understand so much more about this prophecy and that there's more going on here than just a zombie horde because apparently those zombies just leave at the end of the first 7 pages. And they're only harassing one person and one family. So now it's like, what's this all about? There's a whole slew of questions and then bam, a 20-year time jump. And it's like, all right, dude, I am in because this has a lot of twists and turns in 7 pages. I definitely want to see where this is going, man. So
yeah, that was a zombie hit squad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was so
I
cool.
realized I didn't answer your question. The answer is Sin City.
Sin City. Okay.
Oh.
Well, that's very cool, man. Yeah, we actually watched Sin City a few weeks back, and I would say that like 75% of that movie is phenomenal. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the way that it's literally like the graphic novel jump off the pages and on the screen is so cool. And I'm so glad, Robert Rodriguez got Frank Miller back into the game to do it. Mm-hmm. And, but I don't know, man, that whole Dwight story, like, the middle one, it's like, it's just like when I watch it now, I'm like, this is so silly. But besides that, like everything else about it's awesome.
Yeah, I love that one. I've got a very, very fond place in my heart for. Damn, I lost my train of thought now. Never mind.
Well, there was
Something
that
else.
Yellow Bastard. That was the wraparound story, and of course, then there's Marv's story. You know, which is
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Elijah when he cuts his legs off. Remember
Dude,
that?
hey, trust me, I'm just like I remember Jessica Alba's story. No, but yeah, that's a great movie. Did you see the sequel? We haven't seen it. And
I hated it.
okay, that's what we keep hearing. So we're like afraid to watch it because we were big fans of the original movie. Like we saw it in theaters together,
Oh, yeah.
and we rewatch it every couple years. But the second one came out. I was a huge fan of Ava Green, and I'm like, dude, she got her poster banned in Germany because it was like too risque. I was like, I definitely want to see this movie. But
It was. I'm not going to say it was a horrible movie, but if you've seen Sin City, it's pretty much the same movie.
oh, gotcha.
So kind of going back to that same well.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
see, you like the way we do that. We say that we're going to talk about only good stuff, and then we bag another movie.
No. It was just so interesting that we had just recently
Yeah.
revisited that one, which we still enjoyed it. It just
Yeah.
was that middle story was just kind of a little different than what I remembered it. But at the same time,
Yeah.
10, 12 years later,
Yeah, I think a lot of
That's one
movies.
my gold standards, and I know it's a controversial opinion with a lot of fans, but I adored Watchmen.
Oh, dude, I am right there with you.
Absolutely.
I
The
think-
ending was better. Get over it.
It was. I read the comic and I'm like, dude, this is like really kind of dated because it was made in the time. So this is very updated, but showing you the past. And I really thought it was really, really well done. The one thing I can say is I wish Zack Snyder would have never made another superhero movie because he wasn't going to do any better than that apparently. So just stick with that
Not at
one.
all.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of that too. I thought the comedian was just fantastic, and so
Oh,
many
yeah.
people can't.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan was awesome.
He's so great in everything, but people can't seem to wrap their head around what his motivation is or what his character's doing. But I think he's kind of the linchpin of like half the movie. That if you can figure him out, you get the rest of what's going on and how the ending ends the way it does. But I think a lot of people miss his character, miss his setup, miss that first arc, and then they're totally lost. So
Agreed. I agree completely.
Well, Sean in the comments here, he says his favorite movies are The Crow, awesome
Yeah.
adaptation, followed by The Watchmen,
Yeah.
once again, and then this one really surprised me, and I have seen this. He listed Faust. The
Oh.
movie, the Tim Virgil
Yeah.
movie adaptation. We actually got to meet Tim a few years ago. Very nice guy, signed a bunch of stuff, and at the time he hadn't finished the Faust story yet, so it's probably a lot longer than
Yeah,
than I
probably a while ago.
But yeah, super nice guy. We got to talk some shop with him, and yeah, it was just very, very cool. But yeah, that movie's just. I mean, I know it's done by the guy who did Reanimator and stuff like that, which we do love, but it's really out there. I don't know if we've had a chance to sit down and watch that.
I
one.
haven't seen that one, but I'm like, if it's the guy from Reanimator and you're like, it's not good, I think that's one of those great movies, Reanimator, that's like just a little push and that thing could have went off the deep end of wrong real quick. You know what I mean? But instead it was perfect where I'm literally sitting on the sofa like, dude, watch, he's just going to like put bat wings on that dog in a minute. And then the dog's flying around. I'm like, oh my God, I could have wrote this movie if I was totally just smoking out. You know?
I haven't seen that in, God, 20 years.
It's definitely one of those ones that we like to revisit every once in a while. Just one you could put on and just kind of laugh.
And
with.
what's that actor's name?
Oh, shoot. You're talking about who
This
plays
is Jeffrey?
Herbert?
Jeffrey?
Yeah, shoot. Who plays Herbert West? Come on, where's Party Man Will in
I
the
know,
comments?
right?
We'd have that. Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs,
Yeah.
yes.
Jeffrey
Yes,
Combs.
yes.
You mentioned the Batman animated series in the Justice League series that the same team went on to produce. They had Jeffrey Combs voice the Question, who I always thought was another one of those I don't really have powers kind of guys who was just really cool. So that's a good one. If you haven't checked that out, man, they got that on Netflix and stuff. Go check out the Justice League cartoon and try to find some of those Question episodes.
Yeah, I think they took the Justice League off Netflix a while ago. I tried.
did
I
they?
think you're right,
Oh,
man.
man.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
gearing up for that DC streaming service, so everything came down.
that's
No doubt.
probably it. Now I know Chris earlier in the comments was saying that he loves all of the DC animated, including the newer films. I guess there's a newer Suicide Squad animated.
Oh, Hell to Pay was great.
Oh, was it good?
Yeah?
Yeah, we saw it on the the ads that were coming up, but we hadn't had a
Yeah.
chance to check it out yet.
We'll have to grab that
Gotham
one.
by Gaslight was fantastic. Just watched that the other night.
Absolutely. Have you watched the Batman Ninja yet? Have you seen that
No,
one?
I haven't caught that one.
We saw it in the store. We're like, wow, this looks pretty far out.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to check that out too.
What's the incredibly controversial one though? The Killing Joke cartoon that they did. What'd you think of the beginning of that one?
Yeah, we don't.
Okay, I didn't have as much problem with everybody else with the relationship with Batman and Batgirl. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. What I had a problem with was for two actors that were super excited to make this movie, Conroy and Hamill just sounded like they were phoning it in. I just felt there was no like motion to it. The whole thing just felt like it was badly paced.
I have to say, I think that I don't really like Alan Moore. I think he writes a little funky sometimes for me, or like you said, I think the pacing's a little slow for me that I don't really care for. And that was such a strict adaptation that it was almost like scene for scene what you saw in the comic, but the things that they did change almost seemed like they didn't fit in that same story. So like the kind of really psychedelic like a musical part in the middle, I never would have envisioned that in the comic, even though it kind of makes sense. Like I kind of get where they were going with that, with the Joker and all that. It just didn't seem to fit the mood of the original comic, and neither did a romance. So I didn't have a problem with it in the fact that, like, dude, if I was Batman, I'd nail all those chicks in Gotham. But I had a problem with it in the sense of, like, why is it some kind of romance thing where, like, he needed to care about her more? Like, you wouldn't care about her because she's your partner or, the person you fight crime with, a father-daughter kind of figure instead. It just seemed kind of weird that they needed to felt like they had to double down on that or something. I don't know. Yeah,
that was odd. And the credits rolled, and I sat there wondering, okay, is it just that the dialogue sounds really bad when spoken out loud as opposed to a comic book panel, or is it just really crappy dialogue and I forgot?
Yeah. Well, I know Mark Hamill, that was what he came out of the Joker retirement to do, after he voiced some of those amazing Arkham games, he said,
God, he was great.
Oh, those are,
I think that's like peak Conroy Hamill stuff.
I agree.
So good.
I love that I've got my Mark Hamill voice, but they made him a murderous psychopath, bloody R-rated,
Oh,
grotesque.
Yeah. We got like a real film Joker voiced by the best actor to do it, so.
Well, absolutely, man. Well, it's been real cool, talking some comic shop with you. Why don't we throw down that website one more time so all of our lovely fans out here can check out Into the Darkness.
All right, you can find Into the Darkness at itdcomic.com. And once again, that's ITD as in Into the Darkness, Immortal Taco Dog, and Imodium Takes a Dump.
I love it, man.
I'm struggling here at the end. I can't think of many more for this action.
No, it's been so much fun talking to you, Mark. I think we're going to jump into some PoDunk news here. Did you
want to do a little bit of maybe we'll do a little bit of news and wrap up the show, but Mark, we'll go ahead and let you go. We did want to ask, though, considering this is a comic book and you guys are putting it out and publishing it, are you guys going to attend any local conventions or anything like that maybe some fans could come and meet you at or maybe get a book signed?
We were at a convention a few weeks ago in Oroville, California. That was our first con appearance.
Awesome.
Sean and I were there together because it was close to him up in Northern California. As far as down here, we're kind of far apart from each other is the problem. He's in Northern California. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
Gotcha.
So I'm looking into maybe some opportunities here, trying to look into going to the Phoenix Comic Con next year or whatever they're calling it now that they've been sued.
Ooh.
Yeah, apparently San Diego sued them or something, so now it's like Phoenix Comic Fest or something. I don't know.
Like San Diego doesn't have enough money. Come on,
these guys.
No, we want all the attention.
Yes.
It's so crazy. But that's cool, though. So you guys, like, I'm sure through, like, the Kickstarter and such, fans will be able to get updates and so forth if you guys are going to be making some upcoming appearances.
Absolutely. I'm looking for opportunities right now. It's just we're kind of dry out here, no pun intended.
Sure. That's funny.
I have to say, from Phoenix, you got like barely a tan. Look at how red we are.
Well, when it's 117 degrees outside a lot and dry, you stay out of the sun because you don't like skin cancer.
I get it. It's like either pale or just petrified. There's no in-between out there, right?
Yeah. You're either like me or you're leather.
We got you. We got you. Well, definitely people will have to keep in touch with you on Facebook and on your guys' website, and check out the Kickstarter, guys. It's already made its funding, man, which is so awesome. Congratulations. But let's not stop there. All you beautiful people out there in the comments hanging out with us tonight, get on over to Kickstarter. Look up Into the Darkness and Comics. Go ahead and pledge something today. Let's move it up to those awesome pledge goals so we can all get some more free cool stuff. Yay! And thank you, Mark, so much for joining us. Thank you, Sean and Chris, for hanging out with us in the comments. And, man, we're just excited about your book. Congratulations on getting funded, and we can't wait to get our hands on it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Look forward to getting it to you.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, you have a great night, Mark. And now we're going to head on into some PoDunk news.
Absolutely. Have a good night, sir. Take care.
Good night. Thanks for having me.
PoDunk News.
Oh man, we've been having so much fun with Mark, man. It's that was awesome, right?
Heck yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. And thank you, Chris and Sean, for joining us in the comments as well and talking to us. I'm glad that Senior Bowl was able to, interact with you guys a little bit better there. I couldn't see the Facebook on any of my screens, so yeah.
But man, we got some real crazy stuff to tell you guys about in the PoDunk news right now.
We do. We're right up on our hour already. Boy, time goes by, man, when you're not looking, but when you're having fun with a couple of cool fun cats like the guys from Into the Darkness. But let's see what's going on in the wacky world of news today. We promised it in the banner below. Let's tell them about the Man-Eater.
Oh man, well this was announced during the PC game show, at E3. Now we all know about the Microsofts and the PlayStations and all. Oh yeah, but one show that kind of almost goes unnoticed sometimes, even though there's tons and tons of PC gamers out there, is the PC game show, and the talk of the town had to be this upcoming game, Man-Eater. So in this game, it's an RPG. All right.
Okay.
And you role play as a shark.
Huh.
So I guess you get, abilities and level up and stuff. But I mean, in this trailer, all you see is the shark pretty much causing chaos, eating scuba divers, eating beachgoers, eating other sea life,
Can we eat Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws?
There might be some. I was going to say, I think this is almost like a love letter to all those guys out there have been like, we've never really gotten a good Jaws game. There was the old one on Nintendo. And I think 12 years ago, they put one out on Xbox or PlayStation 2.
Gotcha.
But I guess it just didn't fill the need. Now people want to go out there. They want to role play a man-eating shark.
I have to say, I think it's great, man. When it comes to different games and stuff that's out there, my biggest complaint nowadays is we get so many things that just seem like the same game. Like you're just doing the same thing all the time, jumping around on little platforms. You're a guy with a sword or you're a guy with a gun. Dude, let's get crazy. Let's get in the water. Let's be a shark. Let's terrorize some people, man. I think it's fun. And the bonus side of this, right, that no one's even looking at, right? You can't say this is imitatable. No kids are going to go out there and be like, I'm going to be a shark and kill people. No, So all that bad stuff people complain about games, not happening here. Go grab this for your kids, man. Let's have a blast, dude. It might be a little bloody or something. I don't know. I shouldn't say just grab it for a 4-year-old.
Judging by the video, it looks like this shark's going to be causing all kinds of chaos. Now, for right now, it's only going to be released on PC. But I'm sure if it gets popular enough, I'm sure they'll port it over to all the major consoles. We don't have a release date yet, but when it comes out, mark our words, we're going to be playing this here on the Power Hour.
Heck yeah, we'll play it live on the show, man, as we continue to do some more live gaming, man. You guys really stuck with us last week playing some Rage. We had a super blast. We think you guys had a super blast. Make sure to let us know in comments and stuff. Head over to our YouTube channel and check out the excerpt from Rage or that full episode. Throw us some love out there so that we know what you guys like, and we'll continue to do it.
Absolutely, man. But, man, we got some more news, so let's keep it rolling on.
Let's see what's next. We got some Stan Lee in the news.
Absolutely, man. And unfortunately, this isn't great news. I know we were talking all the great comics and stuff like that earlier. Well, apparently Stan Lee has actually filed a restraining order against his former guardian. His wife passed away last July. So this individual here that's standing next to him kind of took over a lot of his day-to-day dealings.
Okay.
And apparently, I mean, like I said, it's still under investigation. Nothing's, solid yet. But yeah, apparently there were some workings with the money. It's almost like a bad guy story.
Right.
Like this guy's, I mean, like I said, not to judge him. I mean, obviously, still has a, guilty or innocent until proven guilty. But I mean, this almost sounds like a villain's plot.
Yeah.
Let's go after the famous comic book guy. But so unfortunately, not great Stan Lee news. But the whole it's being charged as elderly abuse.
Yeah, now this is him trying to manipulate him and steal money. That's kind of the.
I believe that's where some of it had to do, and I mean I don't think I don't know if there was any actual physical contact. Like I said, it's still.
I think in a technical term, it's not going to take much for someone to be considered abusing someone of that age, though. You know what I mean? Like even what we would consider kind of gentle shoving could really be damaging to an elderly person.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've seen Stan in videos and stuff. I mean,
yeah,
he's not getting any younger.
No,
so.
dude, if any of this stuff holds true, this guy's an absolute dirtbag, man. So we'll reserve judgment till the courts do. But I trust my man, Stan. Excelsior. Let's kick this guy's ass off the planet.
Absolutely. But moving on to some other wild news.
Yeah, and not to delay. I know people got places to be, but we saw Stan Lee live a few years ago at MegaCon right here in Florida, and a beautiful young woman dressed like the Phoenix asked if she could come up and give him a hug. And they told her, just hug him lightly, dude. Don't go, and go all fan crazy and crush him. So, people get excited, and we get that. But it just goes to show that if they're going to tell a fan that at a con, someone who loves him, it doesn't take much to really hurt an elderly person, man. And just anyone who would do something like that, total scumbag. And I think we should just absolutely go on record by saying, yeah, dude, this guy sucks, man. If this stuff turns out to be true, which we kind of believe, but.
Well, like you said, obviously, I'm sure, Stan Lee, I mean, it's unfortunate, probably cases like this happen all the time. Yeah. They're never documented, but of course Stan Lee being who he is, it's pretty much hit the airwaves. So hopefully they can wrap it.
You're right in that sense that a lot of this stuff goes by the wayside of people in homes and things like that. So make sure to check with your loved ones, the elderly people in your life, and make sure that they're just doing okay and being treated right by everybody, man. So just general PSA, guys, But
we definitely have some more fun news for you guys. It's not all doom and gloom. Here this reminds me of the Peanuts, Linus, and he always had his blanket with him,
I'm not gonna lie, I carry my blanket.
Hey, that's okay, man. Hey, well, like you said, we're all about the love here, man.
Just to wrap up babes.
Well, this grown man here who's obviously an anime fan, wanted to share his love of anime and Japanese culture, so he brought his full-size body Huggy pillow to his graduation ceremony. So he got his degree with his Huggy pillow.
Oh, Kriega-san, no, wonderful, dude. If you ever seen Archer, man, any Archer fans out there, you'll know what I'm talking about, dude. The guy makes a digital hologram of an anime character that he's trying to marry throughout the whole show. And just, hey, man, people love what they love, and here at the Power Hour, we're not here to judge you, man. So you love the shit out that pillow, bro.
Absolutely. I see people in the comments are still blowing up that man-eater, man. Absolutely. We're looking forward to it, too. If you guys happen to know who this anime character is, let us know. I mean, I was searching around and I probably saw it, but I'm not familiar with this particular anime. So let us know if you know who that is. If that's a worthy Huggy pillow.
It looks cute. It's hard to say because they always look like little girls to me in those cartoons. Right? Everyone will be like, oh yeah. And people are like, dude, what?
Let's keep it rolling.
Last but not least, man, you may instantly recognize this as not a clip from any of the official Gremlins movies. Why don't you tell them what this awesome clip is from?
Well, man, I got to give full credit for this clip to Mr. Fusion, because over the weekend he showed me a fan-made film, which if you guys haven't seen it yet, after Power Hour, head on over to YouTube and check out Gremlins Recall. This is a 10-minute fan-made film, which is like done very, very well, man. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, you might look at this and be like, wait a minute, you know, the Gremlins didn't exactly look like that, but they have a cool wraparound story that kind of brings the Gremlins up to today's standards, and things get crazy real quick, just like in any other Gremlins movie, but it's actually like scary, you know, like almost like
back to the first film.
Yes,
scary. Oh,
yes.
Dude. This was one of the scariest movies to me when I was a kid, man. Now, is it a full-length film? Travis G wants to know.
No, it is only it's a short right now. Like it's a 10-minute short. Like it's a good. I'd say it's not like a trailer. Like it would be like if you saw like maybe the first 10 minutes of the film, but it really gets you excited. And the guys that put this together, like I said, even from, you know, us having a filming background, like just seeing the way that it's shot, I'm like, they definitely dropped some coin on this. But there is some news that's tied to it. This came out actually right around Christmas, which of course it's themed like that, like, you know, because the original movie was Christmas themed.
Yeah.
But apparently, Chris Columbus, you know, known for Home Alone, Gremlins, all
Discovering America.
the Goonies, One-Eyed Willie. But he recently commented that Gremlins 3 is in the works, but that would be a reboot that takes place 30 years after the first film. So,
nice.
Which I think that is cool, but it's kind of like, well, is it a reboot or is it a sequel?
I was just thinking that. Like, if it takes place 30 years after the first film, then the first film had to have happened, so it's not really a reboot as much as a sequel. So I don't know why people are suddenly scared of the word sequel. Do they think reboot is like a better word? Because people hate reboots. They suck, man.
I mean, especially with stuff like, you know, Cobra Kai and like all these like resurgence of like, you know, classic 80s stuff coming out and doing pretty well,
and
you know.
When they're sequels, like they redid Ghostbusters, sucked, you know.
Oh, Bill and Ted 3's coming. You know, we're excited
Jurassic World was just a sequel. They didn't need to reinvent the wheel there. I think Chris Columbus also did one of the Harry Potter movies, right?
Oh, yeah. I think the first two, I think he handled. Now, one thing he's commented on was, you know, how dark this movie will be. Like, it'll be very reminiscent of the first film.
Okay.
And someone said, well, what do you mean? What are you going to do, kill Gizmo or something? And he didn't really answer it, but he kind of gave it like a little like nod. So
yeah, that's him being like, oh, I didn't even think about that. That'd be so cool. We're totally doing that now.
So apparently this third Gremlins movie might kill off that classic. I mean, he's definitely the protagonist. I mean, I know there's a human.
What's it, like 50 now? He just dies of old age. Let's not pretend it's something terrible. Dude, he like got a bunch of humans killed. Like, it doesn't really seem like a super sentient creature. I understand it's very cute. I wouldn't want to kill my cat, but if my cat every time it got wet created monsters that murdered humans, I would kill the shit out of my cat.
You're like, no, you're like, so none of the cutesiness of Gizmo it would stop that.
Bad kitty, no.
No, remember, like he became like Rambo in the sequel. And
I know,
stuff.
that's what I mean. He seems sort of sentient, so I'd feel bad, but at least, you know, quarantine him or something. Put him in a cage at a zoo or something.
Now, there's no word yet if Columbus will direct Gremlins 3 because he's currently working on directing a Five Nights at Freddy's film for Blumhouse, which they're known for all like the Purge movies and stuff like that. So you cats that are hanging out in the comments, I know Sean Barber is still out there, man, and you know, definitely throw down what you think about that upcoming.
I think Rich T and Steve Z, you guys are still hanging around. What do you think of the of a Five Nights at Freddy film being produced by the same people as The Purge? You know, that sounds pretty like that escalated quickly.
Exactly. Annabelle, the Conjuring, all those films. But it kind of fits the bill. But I think there's still, you know, for as many like, I don't want to say young children, but like, you know, young teenagers are into that. It's probably not going to be hardcore, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no like wanton murder in the game where Freddy's just slashing 8 guys before he gets to you. No, you know, so.
It's always left up to the imagination.
Yeah,
you know?
I do think the premise is phenomenal because I can imagine some dude working at a Chuck E. Cheese and it closing after dark, and he's just scared to hell of these weird animatronic things that look like they could come to life at any moment. So I totally get it, man. But
it looks like Sean threw it down. He said FNAF would be interesting. He said his son would love it, but the darker the better. So Sean wants to see that R-rated.
That's awesome, man. Well, sometimes it's super appropriate and they pull it off and it works great. I mean, you think about something like The Dark Knight or The Watchmen. Nailed it. They needed that dark edge to make those movies work. And you look at other things like Man of Steel, and you're like, what's going on here? Like, Superman seems like a jerk, and he hates people, you know?
I gotta say, if you want to talk about like dark and gruesome, definitely that Ash versus Evil Dead show hit it right where it belonged. You know what I mean? Just with the amount of gore and stuff. Like if you're an Evil Dead fan, you were like, yeah, man, this is rocking.
People are gonna think me crazy for saying, but that show is like Shakespearean in the way that it goes from drama to horror to comedy to horror to drama. You know, it never leaves you just hanging in one feeling for too long. I think that's kind of the thing with a lot of horror movies to me, is they'll just leave you in this kind of anxiety or horror thing for just too long. You kind of need that break to catch your breath, feel safe again, and then go right back to danger. And like, think of a roller coaster that all it did was just fall straight down. It'd be boring. It's got to give you some moments to catch your breath. So I think it works really well. But
I like Sean's comment right here.
we need a good movie that gives kids nightmares if they watch it.
Absolutely, man. Something to strike some fear, right?
Try The Amazing Spider-Man. that gave me nightmares.
Absolutely, man. So that's going to wrap it up for PoDunk News. But, man, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We got another cool little segment to share with you guys.
We do, but let's jump back into the studio and check it out. Because here's what I'm thinking, man. Like, oh man, look, our camera got all wonky in here. It's all weird. But here's what I was thinking. Why don't we save this last piece for next week, but we just tell people what it is.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then next week, you guys will have to come back and get a little taste of what's going on. So let's show you guys a bit what we're talking about, because like we mentioned, in the next 12 days or so, on June 30th, we are going to be heading out to Cosmography, man. This is the cosplay convention up there at the Space Coast Convention Center right here in Cocoa, man. It's June 30th, so it's right around the corner, and we got so much love up there at the Daytona Beach Comic-Con. Tom and everybody out there was so great. We met Dave, who's very much involved. I think he's the host, basically, of Cosmography, and he got in touch with us and was like, hey, guys, come check out this event. Let all your listeners know how cool it is, man. And we checked out a bunch of the photos from last year's event, and we were like, this is baller, dude. Like, I thought, hey, it's kind of your backyard cosplay thing. Like, maybe these guys will be kind of ragtaggy, and it'll be sort of fun. These are great-looking costumes, man, and we have a whole lineup to show you guys of some of last year's stuff, but I think, we got time next week, right? Next week's not the 30th, is it?
Oh, no. Yeah, definitely. Next week would be the best time to drop this, because it's the following weekend. But, man, like you said, man, we love our conventions, and down here in South Florida, man, things are rocking and rolling between now and the end of the year. So, yeah, while we're going to talk about this upcoming one, towards the end of the month, we're actually going to spend, some time talking about all the awesome ones that we have between now and the end of the year, and ones that you can catch El Bandito and I at.
Absolutely, guys. So if you want to get on camera with us, if you ever wanted to sit down with us, you can catch up to us at one of these exciting events that we'll be at throughout the rest of the year. And next week, our whole episode is going to be dedicated to conventions, so we might as well just save our Cosmography stuff for next week, wrap it up with all of that, and it should be a banging, super awesome show. We're going to have pictures of great people in costume. We're going to tell you guys about the best events where you can go and see some of the comics and memorabilia that we saw. We saw a $40,000 comic at Daytona Beach Comic-Con, man. It was Amazing Fantasy number 15. If you don't know what book that is, shame on you. Go look it up on the Wikipedias and leave me a love later for being like, thank you for enriching my life with the knowledge of this great comic. But otherwise, we will catch you guys next week for that exciting show. Thank you guys all for joining us. Don't forget to check out Into the Darkness over there on Kickstarter. Pledge your money. Get a copy of this comic, guys. It's going to be cool. Read the first 7 pages right there. Check out their banging website. Thank you, Mark, for joining us tonight. Thank you, Sean, for joining us every week so far for the last few weeks. And Chris, thank you so much for staying in touch with us tonight as well, guys. Thank you so much. All you beautiful people out there, thank you. Mwah. We love you. You got anything else to say, Senor Bull?
Like you said, man, just thanks everyone for hanging out with us and having a great time. And you can catch us next week, same love time, same love channel, going classic there, at 9 o'clock Eastern here on Facebook Live. We're the Power Hour of Love. I'm Charboil. This is
El Bandito.
And you guys have a good night. Yeah.
I'm never gonna be the one for you.